Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. You are now listening to Capital City. I'm Capital J. This is my main man,
DL Glass.
Now, let's talk about the influence of politics on music. Does it matter? Are rappers political? Do politicians care about hip hop? Does the music reflect what's going on in politics? Let's talk about that.
You know, I forgot to mention this to you earlier, but I wanted to get your opinion on. So we know Kanye West ran for president in 2020.
Does that count as running for president, saying you're going to run and then on issue?
Well, according to what they say, they were saying on social media and, reports was he actually got over 60,000 votes.
When? In you mean the election, the most recent election? You telling me Kanye West got 60,000 votes?
Absolutely.
That's a problem. Because he wasn't even on the ballot. That means somebody wrote him in.
Oh, most definitely people wrote him in. But at the same time, he was on the ballot in, I don't know. I don't want to quote the states, but it's supposed to be 2 states that he could actually get on the ballot. Because of their laws.
Well,
I
don't know. I guess we'll get to Kanye. Remind us to revisit that because we like to go on a timeline here, and Kanye is probably at the end of this timeline, so we're gonna probably end up finishing with Kanye.
Yeah, I just didn't want to forget it.
Yeah, don't forget that. I don't know. I forgot he even ran. So
yeah.
Now here's the deal. Politics and hip hop, are they interconnected? Does it matter? Is there any influence on the music? Does the music influence any politicians? Let's think. All right, we've already been through the hip hop history. It is accepted that, hip hop music really broke out in New York on record and started showing up everywhere, 79, 80. What do we have going on in the country right then? We're going through a transition. Jimmy Carter's done. Ronald Reagan's coming into the White House.
Whew.
Okay? The Jimmy Carter years weren't very kind to America in general. We went through a rough 70s. The 70s were hard.
Right.
And Ronald Reagan came into office with the promise that he was going to lead us to a new America. Before Donald Trump said "Make America Great Again," Ronald Reagan's slogan was "Let's make America great again."
Crack.
So and what we ended up getting out of that was crack and AIDS. But for a chunk of the population, things did get better. The economy got better.
Right.
But we were left behind during that.
Reaganomics.
Yeah, Reaganomics kind of left the middle class behind a little bit, but I did see some gains in the middle class too. During the 80s, the way things are today, you started seeing that stuff come into focus. The way people care about money now, you started seeing flashes of that in the 80s. Money, money becoming everything. Now, Ronald Reagan's term was 80 to 88. Those are the golden years of hip hop. I would by no means credit Ronald Reagan with giving us hip hop, but it just so happens that we got crack and we got AIDS, but we got hip hop too during the Ronald Reagan presidency.
Right.
And during that time period, let's think about the rappers that were really doing it during the Reagan years. Of course, Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five, Curtis Blow. These are early guys. Later on, you got LL coming through, Beastie Boys, Fat Boys, Salt and Pepper, Roxanne Shante, KRS-One. There's a recurring theme here with these guys, though. What does a rapper rap about in the early 80s after coming up in a bad economy?
Right.
Nobody had much. And then a devastating drug hits and a horrible health pandemic. You get the golden years of rap. And dudes talking about how good they are. Every now and then you had a little bit of, I would say The Message was a political rap by Grandmaster Flash back in the day. Broken Glass everywhere, That was a very political statement. But for all of their credit, they did not write that song. So I can't say that's what was on the rapper's mind. That's what was on Sylvia Robinson's mind in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't a rapper.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, there wasn't the rest of the music did not take cues from The Message, and people didn't start talking about that in every song. So for the most part, people were partying, and they wanted to tell you how good they were. I'm the best MC.
Right.
Girls say I look better than that girl. I'd be a better girlfriend than she ever will.
Mm-hmm.
She never bragged about, girls didn't brag about their blowjobs or how moist their vagina was.
Right.
That would have been embarrassing to a real MC back in the day to be up here talking about giving you a blowjob. That's something to do. Use a tissue. You know what I'm saying? So that time period, with all that was going on, rappers wanted to tell you how good they were. They didn't brag. Most of them didn't brag about how much money they had. And it wasn't about, I heard a lot of songs about how many girls I have. I heard a lot of music about how good of a rapper I am.
Mm-hmm.
Heard songs about wearing nice clothes. And just in general situations, everyday stories,
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you look at during that time, I'm a youngin' at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I heard Will Smith rap about, I knew he had money. Everything, even parents just don't understand. He was rapping about his parents.
Having parents don't take money to have parents.
Let me finish this one. His dad had a Porsche.
In real life, his dad a Porsche?
In the rap song, his dad had a Porsche.
You know what?
In the video.
I wonder, was this based on a true story? Yeah, that's just a video.
Yeah, but to a young, impressionable mind is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The illusion is there.
Right. Well, even Will Smith back then, he's just telling stories.
Right.
And a lot of those stories, the money that he was talking about wasn't drug money.
Mm-mm.
It's just hypothetical situations he made up. Parents just don't understand. Girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure maybe a lot of that stuff didn't happen like he said it did, but it's an interesting story. Slick Rick, children's stories.
Absolutely.
Cop shot the kid. Maybe some dude robbed the bank, and he crashed to a tree near university, but maybe that didn't happen and just made a great story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's the 80s. That's the Reagan years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the Reagan years, now here's an interesting thing. What happened at the beginning of the Reagan years, we came in rapping, enjoying ourselves, even in the midst of all this poverty and crack and, things are going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We go through 8 years of Ronald Reagan, and we think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and then we get the vice president, George Bush Sr., coming right behind Ronald Reagan and won 4 more years. So we got 12 years. But something changed during the next 4 years.
Explain.
Now, Public Enemy was around towards the end of the Ronald Reagan era.
Mm-hmm.
But when we got George Bush, and I think the idea of having 4 more years after going through 8 was enough to push some people over the edge. And what I saw was people started becoming conscious. KRS-One was a gangster on that first album. In the Reagan years, as we enter the Bush era, Bush 1, he's starting to become conscious.
Mm-hmm.
He sees what's going on. This is not cool.
Right.
Been happening for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. Now we got another 4.
Right.
Public Enemy came out at first. They've always been conscious.
Mm-hmm.
But they really went in, from 88 to 92.
Mm-hmm.
The Bush years. First Bush. Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Started with NWA. Now he's solo. Bush years.
Right.
Conscious. Telling you What's Wrong with America?
Yeah.
X-Clan comes out. What is wrong with America? You know, and there was a string of other dudes. Like you had a guy named Paris. You know, the devil made me do it. It's just a lot of rappers were coming out with something to say, because you know the situation for the community were unacceptable. So dudes spoke out.
But what do you think? Like, so at the angle that they came out, like, what you think changed to make them see things that way at that point?
Things got out of hand. We talked about crack and the impact it had, but that also goes into the politics of it, because and the response from hip hop. Like in the beginning, we were happy-go-lucky, not really paying attention. The crack and the AIDS and things just, you know, they got bad. By the end of the Reagan years, they were bad. During the Bush years, you start seeing the incarcerations. Now we're starting to see the effects of the Reagan years, not just in the addicts, but in the people selling it. Families are broken apart. A whole lot of fathers in jail. A whole lot of mothers smoking. Like things are out of control, and somebody needs to speak up. So a whole lot of people took it upon themselves to speak up. This is the time period when the African medallions, you know, people wanted, you know, knowledge of self became a thing. People wearing African medallions. You ain't seen none of that stuff since then.
No.
But that came from, you know, after 8 years, you realize, wait a minute, nobody's paying attention to what happened to our community during the last 8 years. Then Bush came in, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. People had to speak up, and we got a wave of rappers that were very outspoken about all this stuff going on.
The community was involved in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Then,
because you're a spokesman.
Right. So then what happens? People come out, and they made George Bush Sr. a one-term president. We got Bill Clinton. He was cool. He was young. He was hip. He played the saxophone on our Arsenio Hall show. You know what I'm saying?
Locking people up.
Yeah, so, you know, it's like, hey, we like this guy. When he got into office, the economy, you know, which now we start seeing the economy get better for everybody, not just the lucky few who benefited from the Reaganomics. As people got more money, they didn't speak up about the people who weren't getting it anymore. And those groups disappeared. What they talked about wasn't the thing to talk about anymore. Public Enemy's popularity went down. They didn't disappear, but their popularity was not at the height that it was during the, you know, during the Bush years.
The machine changed too, though.
Yeah.
You know, the machine that's pushing everything, it definitely changed, you know, and that, you know, not to take away from, I guess, the responsibility of the artist if you feel a way about some of the music that was put out, but at the same time, it's nothing without the machine. And the stuff that was what we call popular before this change happened in society, then that music could have still been popular if the machine was still behind that type of music or that message. Because I think music during that time had a message.
Right, had a message.
All of it had a message.
The music cared.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And so, I'll take a group, like, I remember one of my favorite groups. Everybody always talk about Wu-Tang, but I like De La Soul. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at De La Soul. I can't remember the name of the track, but they were riding around on the scooters on the basketball court or whatever. And then the next...
Was that Stakes is High? No, that's too late. That's a little bit. Yeah. Let's go back a little earlier.
Yeah, it's back then.
Yeah.
You know, and then, like, I didn't see them on TV or nothing no more. And I used to be like, what the hell, what happened to them? And I'm like, but they
ain't never killed nobody in their song. They had to go. We'll get to that too.
You summed it up. Thank you.
Yeah. Too friendly. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Now, that's another thing that happened during the Bush years. Gangster rap exploded at the same time that the conscious rap.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And a lot of gangster rap was associated with the West Coast, while the conscious stuff was associated with the East Coast. And of course, you had gangster rappers in New York and some gangster rappers from the West too. But in general, for outsider looking in, that's the assignments that we give it. You know, it's like them gangsters on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that rose too. But this is all in response to 8 years of neglect.
Poverty. Crime.
Right. You got some people choose to speak up because, this is unbearable. And the other group is like, hey, we got to go out here and get it any way we can.
Right.
So both of those, I think, are a direct result of 8 years of neglect, community neglect.
Right.
So we go through the Clinton years. We go through the Bush years. We get our gangster rappers, and we get our conscious era.
Right.
And Clinton comes in. People let the guard down.
Right.
Finally, a break. It's been 12 years.
Everybody walking around with a pocket full of money.
12 years of Reaganomics. You feel like a weight has been lifted.
Yes.
And it showed in the music.
Right.
All of a sudden, here comes Cypress Hill talking about smoke weed all day. Ain't nobody ever wrote no raps about smoking weed all the time.
Right.
Then Dr. Dre, who used to be known for having an attitude, he's about the chronic now. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Times are changing. We're coming into a new era. You know what I mean? Dude's letting loose a little bit. Redman's coming on the scene. Went from a time where hip hop cared, and then Redman came and said, I don't care about nothing.
Yeah.
and these people influenced the next generation, the next wave of music.
Right.
So now we go from the era where everybody's talking about how much they care and what's wrong to, man, I don't care nothing about that. And smoke this. So now people are self-medicating. They're forgetting about what's going on. Like, you got to remember what marijuana does. Make you forget about the problems. So when marijuana became the drug of choice in hip-hop, people stopped talking about the problems of the world. Did they not?
Yeah, because they chilled out.
They chilled out. And at the same time, as the economy grows, leaves money on the table. More money in the economy means more record labels.
Yep.
More record labels means more people choosing what they're going to distribute, what message they're going to distribute. And, if they got a choice between the conscious one and the one that's going to, gangster rap won the battle. So gangster rap continued.
Right.
Conscious dropped off. So now we got the gangster rap mixed in with the don't care, mixed in with the weed smokers. There goes your 90s. It's a combination of the relaxed attitude of marijuana entering the scene and becoming the drug of choice, because I'm telling you, a whole lot of people would not even thought about smoking marijuana. It came a time where everybody was just smoking weed because it was just the thing to do. Some of these people don't smoke weed no more.
I'm glad you finally said weed and stopped saying marijuana.
Hey, man, I'm trying to be as, I'm trying to be, what do you call it, proper.
Proper.
Yeah, I'm trying to be proper, give you proper terms. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
So let's look at 92 to 2000. Now, there was a lot of mass incarceration during that time. And this is a much more violent. Now, of course, there's plenty of violence in the late 80s. But I think it was peaking out in the mid 90s.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if you're from New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, you're probably like, duh.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the country that wasn't dealing with the type of problems that you had then, that trickled into our place, our space in the 90s. People that weren't already murder capitals in the late 80s. We started having issues in the 90s. And it goes with the don't care part of it. When you introduce a I don't care attitude. You know, it's bigger than just, and we're going to wear pants hanging off the butt, and I don't care what I look like. A lot of people stop combing their hair. You know what I'm saying? It's like Redman influenced a lot of people to just be themselves. They got tired of dressing up. You know what I'm saying? It became okay.
Right.
Wu-Tang came out, and they weren't trying to be fly. They just want to look good enough to leave the house, but not dress, you know, to, you know, it wasn't an attention-getting style of dress. It was,
right.
It was almost, it was working streetwear.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm going to work on the street, and these are the clothes that you wear to go work on the street.
The best.
Right, the best of my working streetwear. That's
like
what they wore.
Like a uniform.
It's like a uniform.
Absolutely, yeah. And that trickled all over the country.
Yeah, and that look stayed with us for about 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until these kids started wearing skinny pants that we got away from the look that was put in place in the early 90s. The big pants, the sweatshirts, and the Timbs. All that stuff.
Whole changed.
Braids.
Jay-Z changed it.
Shoot, Jay-Z dressed like that too. Timbs and all that stuff.
Back then, but he changed it when he said put your the buttons up, your button on.
Ah, that's a whole different era though. You gotta remember, Jay-Z has been here so long.
Yes.
That you're talking about a man that has changed with the times a few times. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So this era I'm talking about, Jay-Z was still rapping and kicking his words like this. That was the Jay-Z back then.
Absolutely.
This is the era that we're talking about. Early Jay-Z.
Okay.
And, you know, he was like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was the era. But these are the Clinton years. The money's coming in though, and by the end of it, by the by the 2000s, Puffy, Jay-Z, Biggie. Well, of course, Biggie got killed, but they were headed in that direction. And you saw it happening midway of Clinton's term. As he turned it, as the economy was turning around, you saw it trickle into rap. Rap dressed better, looked better, flashier. Videos look better.
Absolutely.
More money spent on everything. That's the Clinton years.
Hey, do you think Dr. Dre got his during the Clinton years? Because, you know, not the Dr. Dre changed like the sound of music at a point in time. And would you attribute that to the Clinton years, like the politics?
Dr. Dre had an interesting story. He had a run in the Reagan years. He had a run in the first Bush years. He had a run in the Clinton years. He had a run in the Obama years. You know, Dr. Dre has been a constant, like Jay-Z almost. You know, but he goes back even farther than that.
Right.
And he's somebody that all that stuff we're talking about, you could see him change. You know, Dr. Dre went from dressing. I think we talked in another one about how rappers used to dress in costumes when they perform. You know, he was the doctor. He dressed like a doctor. You know, he had a uniform and he was with World Class Wrecking Crew. It was all glittery. So he came from that era. He went to NWA. He changed his whole style. No more uniform. He wore the street uniform. Like he was going to work on the street. That's what that's what he adopted.
Right.
And the sound that he was producing changed during that time period. And then by the time you get to the Chronic era, you heard that sound coming in the late stages of NWA, but he almost fell off around 92.
Like before.
It was the Aftermath era. The Aftermath era was real hard on Dr. Dre.
That was in 90. Was
Right, 91, 92, somewhere in there. It's like right around the transition from Bush 1 to Clinton.
Okay.
Dr. Dre was struggling to find himself. You know, he had the Chronic dropped in 91.
He had that big light-skinned dude on his back too.
No, it was that Suge?
Yes, sir.
That let me see. The Aftermath, I think he had gotten away from Suge, signed his own deal with Interscope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it just wasn't working out. It's like he had the sound that we, you could hear if you listen to that music from that time period, you recognize the Dr. Dre
Yeah.
and love, but something
Aftermath.
was missing.
Right. Aftermath was a little bit later than 91, 92, though. It was probably like 94, 95, maybe. Because remember, that was sometime right after Pac got killed, right? That he came out with Aftermath. Or was
Nah,
that
the
right
Aftermath,
before?
keep their heads ringing. Ring, ding, dong. I think that was 93.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 93, maybe 94 at the latest. Hold on, I got a computer right here. I'm tripping.
Yeah, let's look
We
it
ain't
up.
we ain't got to guess at nothing. It's 2021 for crying out loud.
Still gonna be relevant.
You know what I'm saying?
That was that joint.
Okay, that song came out on the Friday soundtrack. Oh, that was 95. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So this is, all right, after The Chronic came out. Dr. Dre had a hiatus. His new record deal for Aftermath Records. And it didn't
Away from Suge.
It didn't work. And for a time, it took him a while to come back with that second Chronic album. He was quiet there. He kept making music, but nothing really hit you like the early Dre stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Till 2001.
When he dropped that, he was all the way back, and then he found Eminem, 50 Cent. It's a wrap.
That's when he changed his sound, man.
Well, here's the thing about Dre that a lot of people don't know is that Dre, Puffy, a lot of these dudes, they keep producers on deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the sound, the reason the Chronic sound different is because what's that dude's name? Mailman. Look on the read the credits, and you'll see that he did a lot of co-production on that album. So when you hear the sound is different, but you still hear the Dre cues, so that let you know that Dre was there.
And the clarity is what I'm talking about. It was, he was the known producer on the album. That clarity, I think, changed.
I've always felt like Dre has had the tightest engineering in the game from day one. Even the old NWA stuff sounds great, for back in the day. LA music, to me, they've always spent a little bit more on the engineering. There's more money in LA for music. So it wasn't, they treated hip hop like they treated all the other music. And when it came time to produce it, it went through the same process as everything else in LA. Got that Hollywood dust sprinkled on it. So even Wax songs sounded great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Coming out of LA, and then in New York, you had some stuff that was engineered horribly that sounded incredible.
Yes.
Oh man, that first Jungle Brothers album, I thought, first Wu-Tang, they recorded that joint in my closet. But, it was part of that rawness that kept it going, you know? But
it was hip hop.
It's hip hop.
Right.
These are the Clinton years. But what the Clinton years did, though, I think the Wu-Tang came in the beginning of the Clinton years with that sound. By the end of it, man, you couldn't get away with that sound anymore.
Right.
You couldn't get away with that level of clarity. Yeah. You gotta step it up. It had to sound like something. You know what I mean? And you didn't hear any more of that after the Clinton years. There's too much money in the game.
Right.
Now, you ready for Bush 2?
Man. Am I?
Because all that money the Clinton years brought in, now people eating during the Bush, second Bush comes in, 2000 to 2008.
Right.
World Trade Centers fell, and that was bad for the industry, but the musicians were still pushing the money image, and that went on for a while. You know what I'm saying? Started, let's say Puffy had a whole lot to do with cleaning hip hop up.
Them shiny suits, man.
Just and it was good for a while to change it up, but me personally, I didn't like watching hip hop clean up like that because people get too fly and they don't party as hard.
That's interesting from a DJ standpoint.
Yeah, I hated that. I hated when they put dress codes at clubs and stuff like that. I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to hip hop. Hip hop was you go to a hip hop party because they didn't have a dress code.
Right.
Back in the day, the hip hop party was the one you could go in with sneakers, and the R&B party was the one you had to wear your church clothes in. And when people started wearing their church clothes to hip hop parties, oh man, I hated that. I hated it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you tell a dude dress up, there were no shoes back then that could facilitate the type of rocking, body rocking I'm finna have you doing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it took the dance out of a dude just all together. It just took the dance right out of a dude.
Yeah.
You know? Until they finally started agreeing to allow Timbs with if you dress it up. And then dudes start getting a little more comfortable again. And all of a sudden, dances came back into the picture. Like, dudes didn't dance until they had to do something to relax your dress the way you feel comfortable even dancing. And when they started letting the Timbs back in, you had to dress everything else up, but they would let you get away with the Timbs or a more comfortable shoe. All of a sudden, dudes, A-Town Stomp. A-Town Stomp. And we dancing again, and it's back on. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But we in Bush 2. We in Bush 2 era now. We coming to the end of the Clinton years. Lil Jon starting to come up. You see what I'm saying? Yin Yang Twins starting to make a little bit of noise towards the end of the Clinton years. And by the time Bush 2 come in, it is crunk time. And we dancing again.
Snap.
Yep, we dancing, snapping, Soulja Boy, D4L. You know, it's time to dance again. Fun came back to hip hop because we just went through 8 years of everybody having money, and even though the World Trade Center signaled the beginning of an economic decline. During that period, you know, we partied out all the way to the end of George Bush.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Second, George Bush 2.
Right.
And you know, me personally, I probably, by the time he got out of office, though, my radio job was gone. So, you know, the economy had totally tanked by the end. But in the beginning, you know, he inherited a good Clinton economy. And the first few years of the Bush era, it was easy to buy stuff.
Okay.
You know, you didn't have to work really hard to have a car and a house. Place to live. You know, it was easy to live for a while.
Okay.
And hip hop reflected that.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna say it was all because George Bush was there, but hey, he was the president. This is how it was, and this is what was going on in hip hop during that time. Hip hop, people started dancing again, brought the fun back into it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even the gangster music that was out at the time was light. Like, you know, when 50 Cent said, talking about killing you, you laugh at the way he was going to kill you. Because he's going to kill you funny. You know what I'm saying? Nori killed you funny back in the day. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Ashtray face. I mean, you know, like, dudes did, you know, it was just everything felt good. You know what I'm saying? Like, as gangster as Santana and Cameron and all them were, they weren't scary gangster. They were fun gangster.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking any of their street away. I don't want to take anybody's credibility by any means.
They weren't ghetto boys.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Like the ghetto boys, you be nervous sitting around Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and Scarface at the same time. You know, but hanging out with Cam and Jim Jones, man, that is fun right there, I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? These dudes, you know.
Right.
Gangster too, but you know, cool guys,
fun.
Man. It's fun. The music was fun. You know what I'm saying? It made you want to party with them instead of get away from them. You know, you listen to a Gangsta Boys record in the mid-'80s, you want to get away from that. You know what I'm saying? This dude said he going to throw a baby out the window. Yo, I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, what's on his mind?
Yeah, and then later on, dudes talking about dancing on your face and making it funny. You know, I'm like, okay, that's funny. That beatdown show was hilarious. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the beatdown's still in it.
Yeah.
So it matters. The music changes with the presidents and the economies and politics. And the thing that gets me, though, is where we are now, it feels like we should be at the beginning of another wave of conscious rap.
You probably right.
Even Lil Baby, he's like, for him to put that joint out, sick and tired, being sick and tired.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Gangster with it though.
gangster with it, but he's doing what Public Enemy and them did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you hadn't heard anybody speak out in anything that anybody was bumping in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a message. There was a message in that song.
Right.
And you hadn't heard that in a while.
Right.
And it's not just him now. It's a lot of people speaking out in their music. I use him as an example because his song hit the radio hard.
Then you found a list.
Mm-hmm. We're just talking about this list. Just has some of the best rappers of each year, you know, and it supports a lot of what we said. Like here go the Reagan years for you. According to this list, the best rapper of the 80s, well, of 1980. Let's start off with the year 1980.
Okay, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Curtis Blow.
Mm-hmm.
81, Kool Moe Dee.
Okay.
82, Melly Mel. 83, Run. 84, Run. 85, LL.
What was
86,
the LL track?
KRS-One. Oh, this first song that I heard LL with was Radio. I Can't Live Without My Radio.
Okay.
And well, I think he might have put out Your Rock too before that. Mm-hmm. But let me see. You got KRS again, Rakim, and 88 Slick Rick. All those rappers, just like we said, they talk about how good they were.
Mm-hmm.
And how bad you were if you thought you were good as they are. Mm. You know, that's the main thing for all of these rappers, or a storyteller, right. Or it's about how good I am.
Right.
And Slick Rick is right there, 88, storytelling coming into the game. Big Daddy Kane is 89. That's George Bush too. Mm-hmm. We saw Big Daddy Kane transition from block guy to money guy, you know, during those years. By 92, he was looking like money.
Yeah.
But he didn't come in the game. Well, I guess Big Daddy Kane was always kind of fly, though. I ain't got to give him that.
Yeah, because he always had the two finger ring. Yeah,
Big Daddy Kane, he's always been a dresser.
Yeah.
And very flashy and fly with his style. 1990, they got Ice Cube here. There goes that militant aspect. And Q-Tip, 91, Consciousness. Mm-hmm. Just like we talk about. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Who got 92? Redman. Best rapper in 92. I don't care. 92, right?
Yeah.
It's just what. 93, Snoop Dogg. Trees and More, I Don't Give a. Mm-hmm. 94, Nas. That's Nas in a category by himself.
Yeah.
B.I.G., 95. Mm-hmm. Tupac, 96. 97, they got Big again on the list. DMX, 98.
98.
That's more fun gangster music. Because, you know, DMX was gangster. But he had an air of approachability to him. You know what I'm saying? As scary as DMX sound on the record, man, he's like, you know, he's the gangster with a heart of gold. He's caring. Not Karen, but caring.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He gave a damn about some stuff. You know, all his stuff wasn't about murder and mayhem. You know, he had points and messages here and there too. Okay, there go yours. Let me see. Jay-Z, 99. And 2000, Eminem. Bush 2 era. Starting with Eminem.
Telling you.
You see what I'm saying?
Irony of that.
But that's the resurgence of Dr. Dre. Just came off that Chronic 2001, which was released in like 98. And then he brought you Eminem and 50 Cent. Eminem was about, I'm better than you. You know, he took it back to the old school with his stuff and telling stories. Mm-hmm. You know, right back to the basics. 50 on the other hand, 50 was about that newness. It was about I'm better than you too, but he came with a whole new style, I'm better than you. Not only am I better than you, I'm going to destroy your career in a way that you ain't seen before. I'm going to take the person at the top, I'm going to take them out. And 50 Cent reinvented at the beginning of these George Bush years, the second George Bush, we see mixtapes change. Mm-hmm. The economy's changing. Like I said, everything's more about money, and mixtapes used to be about skill, Used to be about showing off your style, you know what I'm saying, getting some fly music out there in the hands of the people.
Right.
We into the Bush years, mixtapes is about money.
Money.
You know, my album's not out in the store. 50 Cent figured out how to use it, how to use these mixtapes to promote his own music
Right.
rather than other people's music.
Right.
You know, Clue figured out that, hey man, it ain't even just about the skills. I'm gonna get this stuff before you
And
put it out there because I'm selling this music. Basically, what it comes down to, he was selling the music before you could get it.
Right. Right.
And there was money behind that. You know, these guys made money.
He should be a billionaire.
You know, I've made money selling mixtapes, but my motto wasn't to get the songs out first. You know, I was trying to create a work of art.
Right.
So when you're trying to create a work of art, selling it isn't the first thing you're thinking about. If I was thinking about selling first, then it's like collect all the new songs as soon as I can, put the mixtape out. But nobody remember that tape after those songs get old.
Yeah.
Create a work of art, people remember that tape forever.
Right.
So that, you know, that was my goal.
There ain't one standout track on a Clue mixtape. Nobody could tell you a Clue mixtape.
Well, they were all standout tracks because you ain't heard none of it yet. But he was so far in advance on what songs, like the joints be on there. He knew ahead of time this is gonna be major.
Yeah.
Put them up there. But by the time it come on the radio, you toss that tape in the trash. You know, because you're tired of hearing it a year from now. He was just early. When you first got it, you played it to death. But you don't go revisit it because it's the kind of stuff that you're going to get over and over again eventually. So,
Right.
you know, after a while, it'll date itself.
He got it first. He should have been outsourcing. He should have been supplying people with it.
Right, right.
You know, not just selling it to the customer.
Now, look, towards the end of your first Bush, now listen, this is how far your man Kanye has come. Let's talk about Kanye. Because Kanye, they have Kanye listed as 2007's best rapper. It's the end of Bush 2. Remember Kanye?
Oh, yeah.
You remember Kanye and the president? Like, we talk about Kanye and the president, right?
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina.
George Bush.
George Bush does not like black people. That was a direct quote from Kanye West.
Right.
You would have thought at that moment that Kanye West would have nothing to do with any president of a Republican Party or anybody who he would think is a racist. But yet, fast forward, 13 years later, he's wearing a MAGA hat in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. You know, but I can't, you know, we can't read anything into that though, because he has had some mental health issues. So we don't know how much of this is the result of what he really feels or is the result of just some changes going on from day to day. So I'm not even going to speculate on where Kanye's head is at any given point.
Yeah. I think that's safe.
Yeah. But it is an interesting contrast to watch somebody flip like that. I don't know if you remember this, but in Eazy-E went to the White House and had dinner with George Bush Sr. A lot of people gave him flack for it. He was like, man, forget you, I was invited.
Right.
So I went. And in retrospect, you know, who cares? President invited him to the White House. He went.
Right. But you know what? And this is a point I was going to make earlier and get your thoughts on it. But because of coming back to Kanye West and his run for presidency, I guess my view on that is not with the popular view on Kanye West running for president. I think he took hip-hop not just on an invite to the White House, but people actually is thinking about putting hip-hop in the White House. And I'm
60,000 people.
But that's the first time. Like, there's not been another time. There's not been another genre of music that has been, you know what I'm saying, damn near going to the White House. And then when I say damn near going, like, I understand, like, everything starts small. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that when people throw that out there about him, and I think on some levels, I don't know, some people might be inspired by that.
Well, did you know that Scarface ran for Houston City Council member for District D?
Uh, this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker ran for mayor of Miami in 2011.
Yeah, like we always hear stories of stuff like that. You know, of I think T.I. gonna end up being running for something in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, so
Rhymefest ran for alderman of 20th Ward in Chicago.
yeah, that's a smart move in Chicago.
You know?
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of rappers are thinking political. You know, when it's all said and done, rap isn't as political as I thought it would be right now. By this point, I kind of, you know, the entertainers in the black community have usually had a great deal to do with the politics in the community, just the musicians in general, you know, and
Right.
and after we stopped being involved, we haven't really gotten back as involved as an entire community. I'm not saying you got guys here and there who are speaking up, you know, like David Banner's always involved in something. You know, there's plenty of guys out there doing stuff, but the movement on the whole hasn't gone back to politics, you know. So it's probably about that time.
Hmm.
But right now, I think that as rap expanded from the black community and became the music of America for a while,
Right.
people got away from being too political because you don't want to turn off your fans.
Your fans.
Because everybody may not support the same person you support. Like Michael Jordan said a long time ago, Republicans buy Nikes too.
Mm.
You know, he's changed his tone a little bit now, but most people when they first start making that money, the last thing they want to do is do anything to make less of it come in.
Hmm.
And it's a risky move playing politics as an entertainer.
Absolutely.
It might backfire.
Hmm.
So, you know, I understand why some people don't, but I expected that more would. You know, especially considering that in general music is the liberal side. It's probably more dangerous to be a conservative in the entertainment industry if you're going to speak up politically about anything, you know.
Yeah. There's a few artists, you know, who tackle political stuff, you know.
Yeah, Killer Mike is always involved in something.
Yeah. You know. And then you see like I saw J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar join in, and
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar is busy.
yeah.
Rhapsody always got something to say.
Hmm.
You know, this is whether there's something going on or not, you just listen to her music in general.
Yes.
There's a political undertone,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Just like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, you know, even when you bumping, you're like,
Hmm.
so there's some good
Right.
some good message in there too.
Hmm.
You know, they always saying something to make you think about what's going on. And they've been able to do that and not, you know, shoot, Kendrick Lamar won a Grammy.
Hmm.
With the message and all that, you know.
Shit, like you mentioned, Lil Baby earlier, I think it's important that artists like that.
That was so huge, man. If he was here, man, I would love to tell him that I'm actually really proud of him for sticking his neck out like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be such a big deal if everybody was doing it, but since nobody's doing it, you know, just to even have that on his mind, to come out, speak it, make a video about this when nobody else really want to touch it, you know?
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying nobody. I know there's people out there with messages in their music, but like I said, I'm using him for an example because his song come on the radio every day still.
You know, one of the first, because it took me a while, I ain't gonna lie, to start listening to some of the younger boys' music. And one of the first ones I started listening to was Kodak Black. And he got a song, I can't remember the name of the song, but the video that goes with the song, it shows like all the social injustices that
Right.
happens.
I've heard Kodak Black has been political before. And when you see some of these young rappers that come out with any type of political message, you know, it reminds you that we still got some deep thinkers out there.
Right.
And a lot of people in our age group, they like, man, I can't stand this music today. Hey, man, like dudes are younger, but they got something to say too.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff they're going through ain't exactly what we went through and how we went through it.
Right.
So the way they get around to speaking out about what they saying is going to be different than the way we did it too. We were taught by, like, the group of rappers that came out speaking against the injustices of the 80s were raised by people who went through the civil rights movement.
Right.
This generation today,
Yeah.
they weren't raised by people who went through the civil rights movement.
Mm-mm.
We were raised by people who went through an era where, you know, listen to hip-hop music during the money years. You know, so they're not going to come out with the same values. They didn't have the same struggle. They don't even, some of them don't even, like, it surprised me when I was teaching school that there were kids that didn't know that Martin Luther King wasn't a slave.
Mm-hmm.
This automatically equate anybody from a long time ago
Right.
was a slave. You know, they don't know when slavery was over and that civil rights, you know, like, you would be surprised at people that think the civil rights movement got us out of slavery. So, you know, we've taken a lot of steps, but like we haven't had to fight that fight for so long that the generation of people that didn't, the first generation of people that didn't have to fight to go to school and didn't have to fight to vote, didn't have to fight to be 5/5 of a man instead of 3/5 of a man, have raised a generation of people who know nothing about any of those struggles. And it should take longer than one generation to forget about 400 years of hardship. So for a little baby to be out here talking about it, and Kodak Black to have any kind of message, you know, that's something to applaud. Because they didn't come from an era of people reminding them about this stuff every day. We did.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at new rappers at all, man.
Right. My bad.
What we got right? All right, we came up to 2000 and 2008. That's Bush 2. And then Obama. Let's see who the top rappers during the Obama years. This is according to Complex.com. I'm just looking up their list of best rappers because when you see who they think was the best, it just gives you an idea of where music was at the time. So we're just gonna use this. Oh, we didn't finish this list for the Bush years, Bush 2 years. It got T.I. on here, Jeezy, Lil Wayne,
Okay.
and Kanye. Okay. Now I have to say that during those years, when Jeezy was blowing up, talking about moving that much cocaine, I was a little shocked. I thought we had passed that era, and I didn't think that, you know, I didn't think those drug stories would take hold of the community the way they did. When they did, you know, I thought that Master P had used all that up. But no, Jeezy said, no, we can do some more of this, and he spawned a whole generation of, you know, trap music. That's something that, you know, if you look at this, that's Bush 2. That's his legacy in hip hop. He gave us the second wave of trap music.
Yeah.
Started off as good old drug gangster raps in the 90s, and we call it trap music today. But, you know, still talking about street stuff and making money in drugs.
That was crazy.
Yep.
And that credit on that too.
Yeah, and that went all the way into the Obama years. T.I. is one of them dudes too that came out, went away, and came out again as this guy you know now. You know what I mean? When he first came out, he was making music. Neptunes was producing his stuff. You know, the first time I heard T.I. I think was on the Shaft soundtrack, and he had a I'm Serious.
Right.
But, yeah.
Okay.
And you know that was Neptunes all day. Up tempo. You know, there's nothing about that Scream Atlanta or Dirty South, other than T.I. and the way he raps.
Right.
But when he got done with that little portion of his career and went away for a while and came back. He came back is with 24s.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And that, I almost didn't even recognize that T.I. because I never heard that T.I. before.
Mm-hmm.
But that's who he was the whole time.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And now we entering the Obama years. Who we got here for the Obama years? Jay-Z again. Kanye again. Drake. There it is. That's the change.
Mm-hmm.
Change you see happening. Drake. Drake signifies the rise of, I'm not saying that he was a SoundCloud rapper, but the way that Drake came into the game, for the first time, a dude's like, you don't know nothing about this guy, and he like, is no
Tidal wave.
street, like he's not building a street following in the way that we were used to. People who turned me on to Drake and started making me aware of Drake were not everyday street cats that I was used to turning me on to the latest thing in the street.
Right.
It's college guys, girls.
Mm-hmm. Girls.
And I'm not saying just college guys. There's some street dudes on it too.
Drake said the only guys that don't like his music are the ones who don't got no women.
Hey, sometimes it is what it is. There's always been certain, as a DJ, I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
there's certain dudes who make music, and just like he said, man, you don't listen to this by yourself, but you keep it around for girls, like Boys to Men back in the day. Dudes,
right.
they were dope, and they could sing.
Who
if you
could
by
do a
yourself,
versus with them?
huh?
Who could do a versus with Boys to Men?
Jodeci.
You would like this, okay?
Easy. It's real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think Jodeci will be unfair.
Nah. Do not sleep on Boys to Men, homeboy. I want you to notice one thing: the Obama years and Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what Barack Obama was to the community.
It was a light nigga next.
And look at Drake. I mean seriously, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just Drake, because after Drake came out, there was a place for that kind of guy in hip hop.
Oh, absolutely.
Now it's okay to sing and rap.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, like even when 50 Cent was singing and Ja Rule was singing, they were carrying a tune but not singing real. It's like, right. I'm gonna do this just good enough so that you don't call me a punk for being out here trying to sing.
Mm-hmm.
But Drake
came at it,
and he sang for real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was confident singing. He sang like, oh, this sound good.
Yeah.
Just and there was no place for that before. Right. And then there was a place for it. He spawned a whole daggone, thousands of dudes that, that's what music is now. Right. Dudes are not scared to show their full range of talent. Right. That happened during the Obama years because Obama showed a lot of people subconsciously that you can be all you can be. Hey, listen, this is what I'm telling you. I know it sounds crazy.
Nah, but
you know what I'm saying? There was a mentality change that led to Drake. And I mean, it may not be I'm not saying Drake sat around and thought about this, but the acceptance of Drake was because of the acceptance of Obama.
Of being different.
You can be whatever you want to be out here, and it's okay. Right. And I mean, but if you think about it, man, Young Thug is out here wearing dresses.
Yeah. Yeah, back then, yeah.
Right. And these are, things are changing. You can be yourself. Just do you. If it sounds good, people will accept it.
I think I think it was being different though versus it being you, because there was a lot of people that was not being themselves, but they were definitely being different, and Drake, hints that they think about that, just being different, first of all, he ain't from here, quote unquote, so him being different, and he had a platform before where he was different because he was on TV. you know. And then so when he came into hip hop, like he was an established artist who chose to do hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So not to say that he probably didn't listen to or had influences early on, but at the same, like when he came along, you know, he was already established. So
The Obama years brought us Nicki Minaj too.
right. Yeah. And she came up.
And at the time, she was another. Like, you got to remember that she was different at the time. Like, there had always been a strong female presence in hip hop for years. But by the time she came, there had been a void for a while. You know, Lil Kim and Foxy Brown, you remember them, but you don't remember who was between them and Nicki Minaj. Because there was nobody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Remy got locked up.
Yeah, she got locked up. Ain't shoot nobody or rummaging through your purse. That's against the law. But Remy wasn't getting ready to be that chick.
Nah, not that one.
She wasn't gonna be that chick. She was a chick though, and she was the chick at the time. She was the chick all day.
Right.
You know, she was next up.
Yeah.
She was next up.
Right.
Yeah, that was sad.
But Nicki was coming.
Nicki was coming. That was, and that was taking the Lil Kim formula and improving upon it.
Right, man. She killed him.
Killed him.
And she could rap.
Yeah, she came out hard. She didn't. The sad thing about Nicki Minaj, for me, as a DJ, is I hate that has risen to the top like she did. And this is going to be controversial, what I'm about to say.
Uh-oh.
Nicki Minaj making music this long, and at the end of the day, she has not produced a true a catalog of classic music. And that sucks, man.
Man.
All the best stuff she's done has been on other people's records. And I think for her own legacy, she needs her own catalog of
bangers
for us. For like she has some radio songs like Starships. That's a huge song. And I promise you 20 years from now I'll probably play that at some white lady's wedding.
Right.
But I'm not gonna play it at homecoming 20 years from now.
Nah,
you see what I'm saying?
You wouldn't even play it now.
No, I never played it.
Right.
but I've always played it. It's been a popular song at other venues. Right. But I've never played it for us.
Right.
And
wow.
But I will say she has one I can say is a true blue classic. That is her song. And it's the only one I can think of that I know that I could walk in any club at any time and pull this record out and play it in its own.
Megatron.
No, hell no.
What?
Truffle Butter. It's her song. It's on her album.
No,
but I know
it's still featuring the hottest.
But that goes right back to the sadness of this situation. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you see why this situation's so sad?
Yes.
That's her biggest song for that speaks that's the classic. And she should have more of those. Lil Kim got classics. Yeah. Classics. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, when you talk about, Lil Kim versus Nicki Minaj has done more with her run than Lil Kim did. And is more famous.
Oh, absolutely.
But Kim got classics.
For the culture.
Right. And I wish Nicki Minaj had more because she's too good. I should be able to go through a whole set of her music and it should tear the club to pieces.
Right.
I could do a Kim set, make it last good 15 minutes.
And those fans have started getting older and stuff, so
it's crazy how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, here we are. We're moving in now. Donald Trump comes into office. Guess who they have as the best rapper of 2016?
2016. Let me take a guess. Lil Pump.
Chance.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper.
Oh,
We coming off the Obama years. It's still okay to be yourself.
Okay.
Beginning of Trump years, #1 rapper according to Complex, and then Kendrick Lamar, 2017. They got Pusha T on here for 2018. I never would have guessed that they would have had him up there.
Man.
But
Big.
yeah, that's major respect right there.
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy how he managed to still be around. Yeah, but he found another lane. You know. Because there's a large group of white producers that make a lot of house and techno that also make what's called trap music, but that type of trap music isn't the same kind that we refer to when we think about a Jeezy. It's more so like, you remember that Harlem Shake song? I do the Harlem Shake. Bum, 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 bum. But anyway, a lot of rappers have been hooking up with these dudes and reggae artists too. Because, you know, they make house music, but they got some nice hip-hop beats too. And Pusha T is one of the guys that has extended his career because of his association with these acts. Let me think, who else? Chris Brown, the time period after he beat Rihanna up.
Allegedly.
Yeah, he ain't no alleged in that. But that little time period for a while when you weren't hearing him a lot on urban radio. But he was messing with those producers.
Okay.
Making that techno sounding up tempo, what we would have referred to as house. And it worked out for him. His popularity grew dealing with them. Rihanna has done a lot of collaborations on that side.
Right.
So she's huge for everybody. But, you know, she'll get down and work with Calvin Harris. He's one of them. David Guetta, Afrojack. It's you know, these cats got some dope beats. DJ Snake. Turned Down for What?
Okay.
That's DJ Snake.
But that's not Lil Jon.
Lil Jon is the rapper he got to come along with him and do this. Lil Jon has been surviving. When we stopped listening to Lil Jon, he's been surviving over there in that realm, dealing with those producers.
Is it EDM?
And like
EDM.
think about shot. That's, you know, that realm of music. You know, there's a whole other set of producers, and they've been taking rappers in, and they've been making great music together.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, Turn Down for What is a DJ Snake song. And DJ Snake, you know, he does house music, he does some drum and bass stuff, but he has some incredible beats, like, you know, like just plain old beats, and they sound like something Lil Jon would have produced.
That other party.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, dude's eating over there. So that's where Pusha T went over there and got him some money with them dudes. Yep.
And he the president of good music. Yeah.
Yeah, so he got some associations with him too. Yeah, he was a cool dude, man. You know, I remember used to run into him and his brother a lot. Malice.
Right.
Yeah, they're cool.
Out in Greensboro.
They're from Virginia. Yep. Who's our next guy? The Baby, 2019. The Trump years got us The Baby. Right now, though, music is just everywhere. So I don't know what influence this economy or any of this has had on the music yet, because really, you know, we're 4 years in right now, and things been so all over the place, it's hard to tell, you know, exactly what impact any of this is having on the music. Other than, you know, of course, Lil Baby has responded to everything that's going on. You know, all this protest and everything, you get all that music associated with that. But Nipsey Hussle and YG, F Donald Trump, they had that song out. So that was very political.
Right. Tell me about it. J. Cole, you know, he won. I didn't hear him on the list, but he dropped a couple things that was targeted at addressing social injustices and stuff.
Yeah, he's almost like, it's almost like if I mention J. Cole, feels like cheating.
Because that's what he's standing for.
You know what I'm saying? I almost feel like, hey man, if y'all know us well enough, you know we ain't got to mention J. Cole right now. I hope you
Okay.
already understand
Okay.
that J. Cole is a given.
Okay.
But yeah, we do need to say his name.
Yeah. All right. That might be it, man.
Yeah, but we just talking, kicking it about these changes in music. And does your president or the politics, do they matter? Do they change things? Does the economy make the music change, sound different? The content, it does. All that stuff matters. And once you get finished with us, you can discuss this with your friends at your own personal leisure, because we about to get out of here. Give them the info.
Overheretv.com. You can email films.firsttime@gmail.com and get in contact with us.
Yep, if it's something you want to hear us talk about, send it in. Capital City, my name's Capital J.
And this is DL Glass.
And we out of here.